Well, hello and good morning. Welcome to today's show. And today we're going to be talking about sleep with Coach Sherry Ann. I am Alex Juarez, the AARP Arizona Communications Director. So, welcome to today's show. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence and nearly 38 million members across the nation and over 900,000 in Arizona, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to families: health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. In the month of August, we are focused on Thrive in the job market, where we will showcase AARP's relevance as a wise friend and a fierce defender, helping workers find a job while fighting on their behalf against ageism. We will provide tips, advice, and resources to help you stay competitive in the job market and mitigate the impact that the coronavirus pandemic has had on employment and income. Navigating today's ever changing job market can be tough, but we're here to help you through it. Go to aarp.org/work for tips, tools, and resources on how to stay competitive in the job market. You can also visit aarp.org/AZ. Well, hello, Coach Sherry Ann, and good morning. How are you doing? And let me just ask you real fast, how'd you sleep last night?
I was going to ask you that question. I slept good. I love my sleep. And it's so funny. You could ask any of my children, they'll know. They'll tell you, hands down. Like when it's time for me to go to bed, it's time for me to go to bed. Because I have such a routine and my body's so used to it
Yeah.
and I sleep really well. So I'm grateful for that because it's actually very, very important. So how well did you sleep last night?
I always sleep good. I'm a sound sleeper. My wife says that I don't. I probably just snore quite a bit, but I sleep through no matter what. So I'm a good sleeper.
Yeah, so
Hey,
it's
by the way, happy birthday! There was a birthday yesterday, so I wanted to congratulate you. Say happy birthday, and I know you spent that days in California. How was the birthday? How was California?
Oh, well, my family, since I was little, we've always made birthdays a big deal. I'm one of five
Yeah.
kids, and three of us are in the summertime. And so summer celebrations were always really big. And so it was wonderful. We started out with our first night on the beach with a big bonfire
Nice.
with my family. And so it was beautiful. They spoiled me rotten all week long. So I was really grateful to be able to be with them and celebrate because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing with my kids. Like a lot of people don't make a big deal out of birthdays, but that's the day that you were born into this planet. That's the day that you have an opportunity to make an impact on this world. And so it was wonderful. So thank you.
Well, that's wonderful. Happy birthday. We're already getting a lot of comments, so please make sure that you type in your comments, say hello, and let us know where you're watching from. It is so exciting that we have followers from all over the nation, so thank you so much for joining the show. Today, we have a great show. We're going to be talking about the importance of sleep, but let's just real fast go through some of the comments. Kathy says, hello. Hello, Al from Jacksonville, Florida. I look forward to Coach Sherry Ann. Great tips. Todd, fantastic topic. I look forward to hearing the tips and applying to improve my sleep. Cheryl, hello from New Jersey. I always look forward to Coach Sherry Ann. We all do, Cheryl. Kathy, sleep. That's wonderful. Sharon, hi guys. Sharon from Saratoga Springs, New York. Back again from great information. Hello, Billy Nelson. Hi from Fulton, South Dakota. Kathy, happy 21st birthday, Coach Sherry. She does look 21. Judy from Santa Clara says hello. Sharon says happy birthday. Sarah, hello from NYC, New York City. All right, very good. Sarah says happy birthday. Carly says hello from San Antonio. Hello, Texas. Paula, hello from Plymouth, Massachusetts. All right, we've got people from all over. Now, Jackie, happy birthday from Oakland. I can't, let's see, Kathy says, I can't sleep a full 8 hours a night. Constantly worry about silly things. Been thinking about melatonin supplements, but not sure. So we'll talk about that, melatonin, and see if that's good. And there's another comment from Judy. We'll go to that one in just a second. So, Coach Sherry Ann, the importance of sleep. Talk
Uh,
about that.
it's one of those things I think most people take for granted. And because there's so many people that their cognitive bias is that they're fine sleeping on just a few hours of sleep. They can get by. They can, but the thing is you're not understanding what is happening to your body when you're sleep deprived and what the importance of sleep and what goes on when we're sleeping. So when we go to sleep is when our brain is actually filtering all of the information that we took in for the day and creating memories and deciding like what's important to file away. And that's when our brain actually files all the information and discards the stuff that's not that important, and when memories are formed. And so when people are sleep deprived, one of the biggest things that we've even talked about here at AARP is dementia. You are more likely to have dementia issues when you're sleep deprived because your brain is not able to create those memories. And people are fighting depression. You have a higher chance of mood disorders, high blood pressure, heart disease, a lot of chronic diseases, because when we're sleeping is when our body, not only the brain is doing what it needs to do, but the body
Mhm.
is repairing itself and healing itself from all of the stresses that we created throughout the day, not only emotionally and physically, but all the things that we consume, that we eat, that we put in our bodies, and the things that touch our skin. Like all of that is happening at night when we're sleeping. Our body is taking care of itself. So when you're not sleeping, that's not happening. And so you create this vicious cycle that is really challenging to get out of, and so one of the things I ask people is that when I ask, how are you sleeping? Most people will say, oh, I sleep okay. But the next question is, are you dreaming? Like, do you remember your dreams? Like, do you dream, Alex?
I I know I do, but I don't remember them.
Okay.
So why is that?
That there's no reason, don't be afraid that you don't remember your dreams, but you know that you dream because your subconscious is recognizing it. It's just your conscious doesn't hang on to it. But I'm sure there's sometimes your conscious does hang on to the dreams.
Once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, once in a while. So you are dreaming, but when people can't, if they don't know that they dream at all, then that's just because they're not hitting an REM, because an REM is where we dream.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
so we have this circadian rhythm. We have these cycles that we go through when we sleep, and it's really important that we hit them all. And
Right.
so, but if you're not hitting that deep sleep where your body is truly, truly repairing itself, then there's challenges that you're going to physically face.
Yeah.
And so another question I ask people is, do you wake to an alarm? So do you wake up
Okay.
to an alarm?
I don't. Nope.
Oh, good.
I've got that biological clocks.
So you're consistent enough. So when people aren't consistent with their sleep, they rely on an alarm, which there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with relying on an alarm because we have jobs to get to, we have
Mhm.
responsibilities to take care of. And so we have that alarm. But if you're waking up to an alarm and you're like shocked out of sleep, you're
Yes.
most likely either in a deep sleep or or you could be in an REM where you're where you're dreaming too. So, but if you're awakened harshly to your alarm, you probably need to think about going to bed sooner. So, like,
Okay.
I set an alarm as a backup, but I
Uh-huh.
wake up at the same time like clockwork because I'm very, very consistent. And if I go to bed even really super late, my body will still wake up in that hour. But if I know I
Mhm.
need more sleep, then I try to tuck my head back under and go back to sleep. Because I do aim for 7 hours a night. There are
Okay.
times that I don't get that, but it's very, very rare. Uh,
So there's people that are night owls, some people that are early owls, and like for example, I like to go to bed between 9:30 and 10. I'm done. But I know that there's people that stay up until 1 in the morning, and they're up in the morning by 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they've just created that's their cycle that they've created, but
Uh-huh.
they're impacting their ability to hit an REM sleep. So they're not
Okay.
going to go through their full cycle of sleep.
Hmm.
Um, and it's really not healthy. And so there's even kids that, when they're pulling all-nighters in school to
Right.
like get ready for a test and they go to take the test, if they're cramming, their ability to retrieve that information in their brain is going to be even harder because they haven't slept to allow the brain to do what it needs to do. And so that's why when kids cram for a test and they go take a test, they're sitting there staring at the test going, I just studied this. Why can't I remember it? And it's because you didn't allow your brain to like absorb it, file it, remember it. But yeah, so when people are night owls, it's typically young children, like teenagers to 20s, even sometimes into their 30s. they tend to stay up later but sleep later if they can. But if
Okay.
they can't, if they have a job that they have to get to or school to get to, then they're creating this negative impact on their bodies. And so it's
Right.
really important to get the 7 hours. So if you're going to stay up till midnight, make sure that you're sleeping till 7. Give yourself,
Right.
because that's the minimum recommended. And even I have noticed, like with my own body, because I always play with everything. Like I read statistics, I'm like, oh, let me see, and so 7 hours is my happy spot. If I go longer, I'm a little groggy. If I go shorter, I'm cranky. So it's like 7 is my happy number. And that's been proven with people across the board. But they say that 2 out of 3 people are chronically sleep deprived. That's a lot.
That's a
Two
lot.
out of three.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so that's creating a host of problems. I mean, a host of chronic issues, medical, health issues that
Hmm.
people aren't recognizing, that it's if you just get your sleep. So like back to the basics from the very beginning when I started this last year,
Yeah.
the 3 pillars is: 1 is sleep, 2 is how you move your body, and 3 is how you feed your body,
Hmm.
nutrition. So
Right.
sleep is so, so very important. And so you take that one of those pillars away, and then you're teetering on 2, and those usually aren't very good either, because the other problem with sleep deprivation is your hormone cycle gets totally out of whack. And so we have these hormones that tell us when to eat and when we're full. That we have one that suppresses appetite, and that's leptin, and then we
Hmm.
have ghrelin, which helps increase your appetite. And so when you're sleep deprived, those get backwards. And so that's why when people are staying up late, they kind of have the munchies and they want to eat. And so it's really important. So it's creating a whole diabetic weight issue when people aren't, when they're sleep deprived. So
Right.
it's just really, really important to just recognize that your sleep is paramount to your immune system, because that's when everything is like I said earlier, you're healing yourself. Your immune system is getting boosted, because when you are sleep deprived, your immune system gets suppressed. Your metabolism gets suppressed, so it's important so that's what's happening when we're not sleeping. So
Okay. So quick question here. So you mentioned that 7 hours is the recommended hours. I mean, that would be ideal if we could at least get 7 hours. For those people that can't sleep well, I mean, Kathy asked a question about melatonin, but you touched on something also about hormones. Is this sleep deprived, having deprivation of sleep, is it more inclined in women or on men, or is it equal?
it's
And what tips do we have for that?
So I'm going to read into your question, which I don't typically do, but I'm
Yeah.
going to, because you mentioned hormones and you're asking about men and
Right.
women. So
Right.
men have just as many hormones as women do. They're
Right.
just
Okay.
slightly different. All of the female hormones that females have, men have
Hmm.
too. It's just men have more. I mean, females have testosterone also.
Yeah.
Men just have more. But as far as all the hormones that regulate our appetite and our body's processes, men and women have the same. So sleep
Okay.
deprivation isn't higher in men versus women. It
Okay.
does affect us slightly differently, in the sense of, so when men are sleep deprived, their testosterone is actually suppressed. And testosterone is a supply and demand hormone, which is one of the most important hormones for a man. And
Hmm.
so when it's suppressed, and you're not demanding it, you lose it. And so, and with women, when they're sleep deprived, their bone density actually happens to be
Oh.
less, a lot
Okay.
less,
Hmm.
which is typical in women. They are fighting osteoporosis. And so
Right.
it does affect us similarly, but just slightly different in the bodies because of how our bodies are made. But
Sure.
it happens equally to men as it does to women. So, and a
Okay.
lot of it is stress. I mean, and so what I'm going to roll into here is tips on how to have a good sleep habit, and good sleep. And some people call it sleep hygiene, which just to me, hygiene, I think of teeth, but sleep hygiene actually makes sense because you're taking care of your brain and your body and everything. And, we take showers for hygiene, we brush our teeth. Why aren't we doing a sleep hygiene, a sleep routine to help us sleep better? And so it's really important to have a routine. I'm sure because you sleep well and it's like clockwork for you, you have a good routine established. And a lot of people don't. They don't set their stage, so to speak, in order to be able to go to bed. They're
Okay.
working super late. And now that we have these, little handheld devices,
Yeah.
all the time that emit a blue wave that stimulates the brain. And so I went through a period before I just got used to just setting my phone down and not paying attention to it at a certain time.
Sure.
I put a gray screen, like a grayscale. So I took
Uh-huh.
all the color off of the screen. And so everything was just gray, black, white, and shades of gray. And to get rid of the color to not stimulate the brain, just to see how, like I said earlier, like I test everything just to see how that would impact. And it does, it impacts quite a bit, but I'd rather just not I'd just rather not deal with my phone. So I hit a certain
Put it
time.
away.
I am not touching it. In fact, I have it set up to where my do not disturb clicks on at 9 o'clock. So anything after 9, I don't see it because it just doesn't come through unless I turn off my do not disturb, which I
Sure.
have done, but I'm really diligent about not doing that. So that's part of my routine. But having a bedtime routine or ritual, however you want to call it, is so, so important, and try to stick to a schedule. And it's funny because I was just talking to my kids about this last night because they start school this week. And in the summertime, part of the joy of summer for a child is to have freedom and not because they're not going to school, they're not, having to adhere to a strict schedule. So I let them stay up late. I do let them have their phones later. So last night I was like, all right, we're back to the routine, which I got a bunch of eye rolls, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, no kidding. So Sarah has a follow-up question, and we're going to go through all the questions that we see here in the chat room. But talking about the devices, she's asking, do devices affect your sleep even if you do not use them before bed, but have your phone by you, maybe through transmission?
No, that is a really great question. So it is recommended that you have your phone out of your room unless you can put it on do not
Oh,
disturb.
okay.
Because do not
Hmm.
disturb, it won't vibrate, it won't light up,
Hmm.
nothing will happen. And I'm an iPhone user. I don't know about Androids. But once you have do not disturb on, like nothing comes through.
Yes.
But you can program it to have certain people
Yes, you
come
can.
through. So like
Hmm.
if I have do not disturb click on, but I have a teenager that's not at home, their number will come through.
Sure. Hmm.
So these gadgets are so fancy now, it's insane. But yeah, it's been really important. And so I would say other devices such as like say you have a light in your room, like a clock that has LED lights. It's important to either turn that around or cover it up because those lights emit and they'll get you. Um, and like I have my computer once I have a laptop and so it does stay in my room, but I cover the cord up because like when you plug it in, the little light pops on like green
Yeah.
for, charging or whatever. And so all the lights in my room are covered up. And so like for me, my room is it's dark, dark, dark. It's like almost like a cave and it's cold and I have a fan on.
Okay.
I have fan for just air movement and sound, like to drown out all the little sounds that can happen in a house. And so that helps me sleep better. But as far as devices, no, there's nothing about transmission, but it's just lights. It's mainly the lights that are emitted.
Okay, that's good. All right, let's take a look at some of the questions that have been coming in. Carly wants to know more about melatonin as well, same as Kathy. So let's talk about melatonin, and also maybe some prescription or prescribed drugs that help us sleep.
Great. So
What's best here?
I would recommend try to do as much as you can, and I'll go through all the tips to help manage it yourself and doing, herbals like, or melatonin, which helps with your pineal gland and helps you regulate your circadian rhythm.
Hmm.
Doing things like that can help you before you go see a sleep doctor and get on medicines. And if it's a good sleep doctor, they're not going to be quick to prescribe medicine unless you absolutely need it. And then they try to keep you on a short stint of it, like taking it for a short period of time just to help get your system like regulated and get it into a cycle. And then they want to wean you off of it because we don't want you to be dependent upon medicine. And speaking of medicines, minding your medicines is important. So if you're taking a cold medicine, try not to take it, take a non-drowsy in the evening and make sure you're not taking medicines that can stimulate you because sometimes antihistamines can do that to people.
Yeah. Hmm.
Sometimes headache medicines have caffeine in them. So minding your medicines is really, really important. And melatonin is a great source to help get you to sleep. You can do other things like chamomile tea. Chamomile tea is a great one. Some people will wake up with like a restless leg syndrome, like leg
Uh-huh.
cramps.
Right.
Eating a banana or taking potassium and magnesium before you go to bed will help with leg cramps. So that will help with like the restless leg syndrome. So you can either take those supplements or just eat a banana if you like bananas. Um, and plus, magnesium helps to metabolize your energy and synthesize neurotransmitters. So magnesium is a great one to take before you go to bed. So if you're wanting to try things like trying like lavender oil is very soothing for a lot of people. You can
Hmm.
put it on your
Hmm.
temples, right here on your neck or your wrist. And doing things like that will help. Another tea besides chamomile tea is passion flower tea. That's a really good one. Tart cherry juice actually is really, really good for you too. So those are things that you can try herbally to help you with sleeping before you just jump to a sleep aid
Right.
medicine.
Okay.
Um,
Good.
and I did see a question pop in there about, or not, it wasn't a question. I think it was a statement about meditation. So meditation is a great one. Yes, Judy. So that is one of those things that can go into your ritual in the evenings. And so
Hmm.
one of the things that I encourage people to do when they want to pick their bedtime is, brush your teeth, do your routine, whether it's wash your face, brush your teeth, do light stretches, meditation. Journaling is a great one. You can
Yeah.
journal your thoughts from the day so that way you clear your brain so that you can be able to sleep. Because a lot of times for people, they just can't get their brain to stop. Like it's just thinking about solving problems and dealing with issues that they came encounter with throughout the day. So if you're journaling, it helps to just get it from your head to paper and frees your brain in order for you to be able to sleep. Um, the other tip that I will tell people along the lines with meditation is exercise throughout the day.
Okay.
Get your
Hmm.
exercise. I try to, if some people want to exercise at night, for me, I can't do that because it
Right.
revs me up and it doesn't allow me to settle down to go to sleep. But if you're exercising throughout the day, there is a better chance that you will sleep better. And plus it's good for your health, because, so just get out and exercise. And like I've always said, just try to get in, at least 3 times a week. I'd always say 150 minutes, and you can break that up however you want throughout the day. Throughout the
Okay. Very good. So Cheryl, we already touched on magnesium and how good it can be for you, but what's the dosage? Cheryl is asking, what is the dosage of magnesium?
You know what? I don't have that offhand. I would have to look at some information, but you know what? I can go back and answer that on the
Okay,
Facebook page. So just
that
because I
would
don't
be
want
great.
to speak not correctly. So Cheryl,
Yeah,
I would go back and put that information on the Facebook page.
that's wonderful. So there's a lot of factors that can affect our sleep patterns, how
Yes.
well we sleep or we don't, but sleep apnea can be one of them. When would be a good time to have a sleep apnea study?
So if you are sleeping with a partner and they're letting you know that you are snoring or waking up at night and because some people have sleep apnea and they don't know it.
Right.
Or if you know that you have sleep apnea, that you do need to go to a doctor for because you need
Okay.
to figure out what is causing the sleep apnea. Because what
Hmm.
sleep apnea is you stall out your breathing, and when you stop breathing pretty much in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden you wake up like a, and so that's really what snoring is.
Yeah.
And so if that's awakening you, then you know that you're having some type of issue going on, and so that's important to go do a sleep study. And what they do is you sleep at the facility, they have you all hooked up, and they're monitoring your brain, you're sleeping, like they're monitoring all kinds of things. And it's actually quite fascinating and very helpful. And that's how some people get on breathing machines at night to
Hmm.
help them breathe. And they don't have to stay on them permanently, so they can do things so that they can just solve the issue and then you can continue on living a normal life. Um, and I did see a question pop in there about reading before bed.
Right. Hmm.
Yes. And so I think reading before bed, if it's a novel that mellows you and you enjoy reading it, it's great because it also gets your mind off of what's gone on during the day and your brain's not processing solving problems and issues from your day, from your work, from your family, things like that. And so it's
Right.
kind of an escape when you read. And so absolutely reading before bed. And in fact, one of the tips, so one of the questions I always get that I definitely want to touch on is when people wake up in the middle of the night, what is a strategy to get back to sleep? And
Hmm.
so it's challenging, but I would say if you wake up in the middle of the night and there's no desire for you to get out of bed, just lay there, get comfortable and let yourself just kind of try to go back into a slumber. But if you can't, things that you can do while you're in bed and you don't have to get up. If your phone is in your room, put on a wonderful app is called the
Right.
Calm app,
Hmm.
CALM. And
Yeah.
there are stories, like adult bedtime stories in there that are designed for you to listen to that are entertaining, but will help you go back to sleep. So just listen to either a podcast or use the Calm app or even mellow music. Like music tends to help people lower their heart rate and help
Hmm.
them get sleepy again. So just do that. And if you're feeling anxious when you wake up in the middle of the night, which is very, very common, if you can't go back to sleep, you start to have this anxiety of like, I need to sleep. Try these techniques of being distracted. And if you need to get up out of bed, go do go do something that is really benign, like fold your socks in your sock drawer or go empty out the junk drawer in the kitchen. Like do something
Right.
that's super benign, but will help give your brain a chance to just stop its crazy cycle so that you can get back to sleep.
That's
And
great.
yes, the Calm app is free. There's
Yeah.
in-app purchases that you can do to have it be a little bit bigger and better for you. But yes, it is free. And it's a very
Wonderful.
useful one. So um, it's just one of those things where when you wake up in the middle of the night, really try to do your best to just keep things as simple as possible. And one of the tips that I do at my house is we have red lights. So,
Yeah.
like the lights in the bedrooms, if the kids need to turn one on, or even late at night before they go to bed, we switch from a white light to a red light because it just helps the brain still think it's dark. Because once you have a white light come on, or even if you awaken
Hmm.
and the sun is up, like the moment your brain sees white light, it's like, oh, day
Time to
has
get up.
started. Like, let's
Yep.
go.
Got to start. Yeah.
So we
That's
use
right.
red lights in the middle of the night.
That's a great idea. Good
Yeah.
suggestion there. Yeah.
But
So
speaking
we
of,
have less than 3 minutes, so we're going to go really fast. Try to answer as many questions as possible here, and if not, then Coach Sherian can go back and answer some of the questions. But Todd has a good point here. How long does it generally take to recover from chronic sleep deprivation if we get back on a healthy routine?
oh, that's not an easy or quick answer. That depends on everyone's body. Like,
Yeah.
and it's all encompassing. It's how you're eating, how you're moving, if you're exercising throughout the day, how quickly you can get onto a routine. So there's no answer as far as
Varies.
like
Yeah.
how long it takes to recover. It's all largely
But it can
individual.
happen. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Judy and Cheryl, similar questions here about drinking liquids. And Cheryl says, typically I wake up 3 to 4 times after falling asleep to use the bathroom, and then I'm awake. Can't fall back asleep for 1 to 2 hours. Do the sleep stages start all over again? Great question there.
Okay, so the liquid one and then sleep stages. Okay, so liquids. So it's really important if you're waking up multiple times to go to the bathroom. Usually, if you wake up once to go to the bathroom, that's okay. If you're waking up multiple times in the night to go to the bathroom, there might be a problem that you might need to check with your doctor. But if you're waking up that one time to go to the bathroom, maybe just shift your liquids earlier in the day. I'm not
Yeah,
going to say cut liquids because
right.
we as humans do not drink enough water. We don't.
Uh-huh. Right.
We're always in a dehydrated state. And so I'm just going to say shift your liquids earlier if you can. And when you do awaken and go back to sleep, you don't start back where you left off. Like you will start a whole sleep cycle over again. And if
Okay.
you're really tired, you go into a deep sleep right away. Then you'll come up to light. And then depending upon how you're feeling and what's going on with your body, you'll fluctuate between deep and light, and then you'll pop up to REM. And so, but you want to hit all three in order
You
for a
want to do
full
that.
cycle to happen.
Okay, fantastic. We'll do one last question here. Kathy says, is it true that spicy foods should not be eaten closer to bedtime as it stands with eating high sugar too late at night?
No, spicy doesn't have any effect on our hormones, and our insulin regulation or anything like that. So spicy foods, no. It's more about alcohol, you know, because sugars and
Right.
alcohol has a lot of sugar in it, and caffeine. Like we're staying away from those things late at night or before bed. I always say don't consume caffeine after 3 p.m. if you're going to bed at 9, and then stop drinking alcohol about 2 to 3 hours before you want to go to bed. And I know that's a challenge for a lot of people that do like to, enjoy a glass of wine at night, but just think about the alcohol will increase your heart rate to digest it. And so that just disrupts your sleep. So it's like,
Wonderful. Well, there you have it. Another show, Back to Basics with Coach Sherry Ann. Next show will be on Tuesday, the 17th. What do we have to look forward, Coach Sherry Ann?
oh, another one of those things that we all take for granted, and it's our breath and how important breathing is.
Breathing
We take,
techniques.
we take our air for granted, but how we breathe impacts so much in our bodies. And so we'll be talking about the importance of breath and things to do to help your breathing keep it under control.
That is wonderful. Well, as always, thank you so much, Coach Sherry Ann. Thank you for viewing us here on Facebook. Next show will be hosted by my peer Brendan Blake. We're going to be sharing the duties, and we're going to include Hannah Barrett as well. She will be hosting one of these shows. But we want to thank you for watching AARP Arizona Back to Basics with Coach Sherry Ann. Coach Sherry Ann, thank you. Have a great week. To all of you, have a fantastic week. Thank you.